welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I thought I would do a little chit chat, get ready with me. I feel like it's been a little while since I've done one and I've had a crazy last week. So I figured I would just get ready for my day and chat with you guys. So let's just go ahead and get this video started. All right, so if you follow me on Instagram, I kind of posted a little bit about Murphy's Law. And for those of you who don't know, military wives especially, I feel like, are like this with Murphy's Law, unfortunately. So Murphy's Law is basically everything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it always happens when your spouse leaves. So Brad is actually training right now. He left last week and it literally started the moment he left. But before I get to that, I will start with the day before he left. So it was Monday and we woke up first thing in the morning. Brody comes and tells us that I need to wet my sponge. Just a minute. Okay, so Brody comes in our room and tells us that he flushed the toilet paper roll holder down the toilet. And just to clarify what I'm talking about, it is that metal thing that you like take out of the wall, put the toilet paper on and put it back in. He flushed that down the toilet. Why? I have no idea. We got two different stories, so I'm not completely sure how it happened, why it happened, but it happened. So obviously the toilet was plugged. Brad kind of had to play with it a little bit. He plunged the toilet and it started flushing again. So we were like, okay, I mean, I guess it's fine. Went about our day. And then Brad left that night, technically in the morning. He left Tuesday morning at like 2:15 a.m. So he left, and I kid you not, at like 2:30, Peyton comes into my room and says, I threw up. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, of course this would happen. This always happens when he leaves. So I go in her room, I'm like, where did you throw up? And she's like, on my bed. And I'm like, oh no, I'm gonna have to like strip her bed and stuff. But like there was literally, she like spit. It wasn't even throw up, but it was like this big. And I was like, okay. And so then she went to the toilet and kind of like spit up some more. Like it was literally, I think the problem was that she was kind of congested, and so like sleeping flat and stuff, all that mucus kind of just made her tummy not feel very good, and she kind of just spit it up. So luckily that wasn't like a huge thing, but I wiped her mouth with like one piece of toilet paper, and obviously she didn't really put anything into the toilet as well because she just kind of spit. But the toilet didn't want to flush, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's that stupid rod. I'm gonna have to call maintenance, and they're probably gonna charge us. They're probably gonna have to take the toilet apart. Like it's probably down in the pipes. It's gonna back everything up, and I'm, you know, having a little mini freak out at 2:30 a.m. So I put Peyton back to bed and I go back to sleep. And first thing in the morning, Peyton wakes me up by saying, do I have red in my eye? I look at her and sure enough, this is what I see. I have never seen that much solid red in somebody's eye before. So naturally, I was freaked out. I called her doctor. They were able to get me in. And so while we were waiting, I decided to give Peyton a shower, and she went to use the bathroom before she got in the shower, and I was like, oh, let me check the toilet real fast, because I knew that they probably had used it that morning and I didn't want her to use the bathroom on top of like an already plugged toilet. And sure enough, it was plugged. And so I plunged it and it started flushing, and I decided to just keep plunging it because why not? And I was like, please just let this thing just come back out. Like, I do not need to call maintenance. I do not need to be charged for this. Like, please just let this stupid rod come out. And the next thing I know, I see this little stick float back into the toilet, and I was like, oh my God. I got that out of there, and I was so happy that I didn't end up having to call maintenance for that. So then gave Peyton her shower. We headed towards the doctor, and on the way to the doctor's office, my tire pressure light comes on, and I'm like, oh, really? So take Peyton to the doctor, find out that luckily it is just a blown blood vessel, and it probably happened when she was spitting up the previous, that earlier that morning from throwing up, but not really throwing up. She was probably pushing hard and blew a blood vessel, but I was like, great, just got cheer pictures the next day. So luckily everything was fine with that though. Went back to base and went to like one of the gas stations to try and put air in the tire. I called Brad. Luckily he was able to answer at that moment and was like, how do I do this? Because I've literally never had to put air in my tire before. And so he kind of walked me through it, and he had asked, do any of the tires look low? And I said no, because they didn't. So one of them, I was like, maybe this one. So I put air in that tire and called it good. He said that all last winter, which I had forgotten about this, is that our tire pressure light came on, because like as soon as it gets cold, it messes with the air in the tires. So I figured that that's probably what it was. He just told me to kind of keep an eye on them, and I am. So so hopefully, nothing happens with that. Then the next day was Peyton's cheerleading pictures. I go there, I have cash in my wallet. However, I was like, I didn't have the paper with me to like know how much I needed, so I just took out $40. I already had a $5 in there, and get there, I needed, the pictures cost $30. I had $45, something like that. I don't know, I can't remember. Asked if anybody had any change. Luckily one person had exactly what I needed. But that left me with two $5s, and as I was filling out the thing, I saw that they charge a shipping fee because apparently they ship it to your house. So I used the $5 and luckily had $2 worth in change, so that was good. But I was just like, oh my gosh. So I felt really frazzled that whole time, and of course, Peyton's eye is bloodshot, but they kind of positioned her in a way that hopefully you can't see it, because at that time it was only when she like turned a certain way that it really was visible. So they were hoping that, it wouldn't show. Go home, and let's see, so that was Wednesday. What happened Thursday? Thursday, I know what happened Thursday. Peyton came home from school on Wednesday, the night that she took the cheer pictures, and told me that she couldn't go to school tomorrow, her teacher said, because she was coughing too much. But she did have a cough, but it wasn't like a cruddy sounding cough or anything like that. She just kind of kept coughing. And so I was like, okay. And after pictures and stuff, she had like fallen asleep, and she did kind of seem like she just wasn't totally herself. So I did decide to keep her home. However, when she woke up that next morning, she probably would have been fine. She didn't act sick the whole day, but I figured it was a good idea to keep her home because she had to go to cheerleading practice Thursday, the day that she stayed home, because it was their last practice before competition, and she had to go to it. They needed her there. So I kept her home so she could rest and be ready for practice, but like I said, she really didn't need to stay home. Went to practice that night, and then Friday is when I went to my friend's house, and I spent all day there, which was fun and a good, like, finally, nothing crazy. However, when I left her house, this picture popped up on the car. I called Brad. I'm like, well, what the heck does this mean? He's like, I have no idea. Luckily, I have not seen it again, so I think we're okay. But if I have to, I can always switch cars with Brad and be somewhat okay, hopefully. But yeah, so that was Friday. Saturday, I don't think we did anything on Saturday. Yes, I cleaned out my car. That's when I did my car clean video, and I already posted that. The kids played their game, and we just kind of had like a chill day because Sunday was going to be crazy. I did not know how crazy it was going to be, however. So I have never dealt with cheer competitions before. I know literally nothing about them. So she needed to check in by 7:15. And so I'm thinking, okay, you know, like we'll probably get done sometime right around lunch, maybe a little after lunch. No. So I get a text on Saturday evening. The coaches had just had a meeting, and so they're kind of telling us a little bit more about how the day is gonna go and stuff. So girls need to check in at 7:15. The competition doesn't actually start though until 10:15, and Peyton is like 11th to perform. So I'm like, oh, okay, because I was just planning on staying with her at that whole time from 7:15 until, you know, they performed. But if it didn't even start until 10:15, there was no way I could keep Brody occupied that long. So we were able to drop them off and then come back later when the competition started. So that is what I did. Brody and I came home after dropping her off. First, let me say though, I had to wake myself and Peyton up at 5:30 in the morning to get her ready, and then got Brody up right before we left because I knew we weren't gonna stay. So I just let him stay in his PJs and stuff like that and called it good because I was not gonna wake him up that early. But Peyton and I had to get up that early to get ready. Dropped her off at 7:15. Brody and I came home and I got him and myself ready, and then we left back for the competition at about 9. So we get there, we get pretty good seats. I was happy with our seats. And then it starts and it's going fine and stuff. I brought some snacks for Brody. I really should have packed lunch, but I didn't. But first we get there. I find out I have to pay to get in, which now knowing, yeah, that makes sense. But like I said, I was totally clueless going into this thing. I wasn't told I had to pay to get into the, you know, place to watch her perform. So I like go in and I see people handing money at the table, and I'm like, oh, and I'm like, do I have to pay to get in? And they're like, yeah, $10. And I was like, oh, okay. And I never carry around cash, ever. I never have cash on me. And so I look in my purse and I'm like, oh, I luckily have $10. And they were like, how old is he? And I was like, 6. And they're like, 5. And I was like, 6. And they're like, he's 5. And I'm like, he's 5. And they're like, that way you don't have to pay for him. So I was like, oh my God, I would have to pay $20? Like, oh my gosh. And so luckily I did have the 10 in there for me. However, if somebody had made me want to like pay for him, I would have been SOL, because there's no place around there. This is at a high school, so there's not an ATM, and there's not really any stores around that particular area without having to drive a little bit. So there's no way I would have been able to pay for both of us. So luckily they only charged me for myself, but good to know for next year. So anyway, it starts and Brody asks for one of his snacks, and I'm like, sure, you can have one now. There's a lot of in-between time in between a performance and when the judges judge the performance, and then the next one starts, which I was not anticipating, once again, out of just not ever going to one of these things before. So yeah. It was a while before Peyton got to perform. However, the other dances and stuff that the girls did were very entertaining to watch, and so it did keep Brody's interest, which thank God. However, he needed to use the bathroom before Peyton was supposed to go on, and I'm like, I don't know what number I don't know what number they're on. I know they're like number 11th to perform. I'm like, you're gonna have to wait, buddy, and I needed to use it too. Luckily, Peyton ended up going soon after that, and then I was able to take him to the bathroom. But you guys, that day started for me and Peyton especially at 5:30. We did not get home until 4. It was all day long. And I was so not prepared. And my gosh, like sitting in those bleachers, my butt hurt so bad. I should have brought like one of those, my like cushion, like one of those pillow things, cause oh my goodness, it was bad. Super uncomfortable, but it was a lot of fun. I wish I was just better prepared for how long it was going to be, because I was not. But it was a lot of fun. Peyton had a lot of fun too, and I know she's really excited to do it again next year. So yeah, so I didn't have any cash on me. I couldn't get anything from the concession stand, and so by the end of that, Brody and I were starving. Like I had brought him 3 snacks, but he had pretty much eaten those within like the first hour and a half, because like I said before, I didn't know how long this was gonna be. And yeah, so we were starving. I had only had a cup of coffee, you know, all day long. Brody at least had a breakfast, but yeah, so me and him were starving, but I didn't have any cash. And so towards the end, they are trying to clear out all the food, and it went down to half price. And obviously I still couldn't get anything because I did not have any cash. But when they were finally handing out the awards, the guy was coming around and he just had all this stuff, and he's like, free, and I'm like, I'll take 2 burgers. So Brody and I had cold burgers. They were actually really good though, just because we were so freaking hungry that it really didn't matter that they were cold. But yeah, next year I will plan much better for this. But yeah, so went home. Peyton fell asleep almost immediately in the car, which was not a surprise. And yeah, that was all my last week, and it was crazy. And of course, you know, all this stuff happens as soon as Brad left, but made it through. It was fine. Hopefully the rest of this week that I'm currently in will be good. Brody and Peyton had picture day today. I remembered with a half of an hour to spare of them getting ready, so I changed their shirts into nicer ones, and I did Peyton's hair because I was just gonna put a headband in it. Not this one, but I was just gonna put a headband in it, but I actually decided to do something with it. However, her eye is like bleeding out now. Like, it's not confined to where it was. Well, it's on this eye. It's like trickled down now, so when she looks straight at you, she looks like a vampire in one eye. Like, it's red. So she's probably gonna have to do a picture retake. And she also picked her lip this morning and she had blood right here, so yeah. Oh, and I cut Brody's hair on Sunday night. We had been wanting to get his hair cut for a while, and I don't know. I decided I could do it because he has curly hair, and if I mess up, he can't really tell. I did not mess up. I did a really good job, actually. However, I cut it a little shorter than he wanted because I couldn't have kept it long. Like, I would have messed up if I tried to keep it long and just trimmed it. So I did cut it. He still has his curls. It's just shorter than he was probably anticipating, and it was a big shock for him to look in the mirror, see the long hair, and then I cut his hair and he goes looks in the mirror again and it's all gone. So he did not like it. He said, I felt really bad. He said he didn't want to go to school and he cried. I felt so bad. Like, I was so ready to cry too because I felt terrible that he didn't like it. Like, it looked really good and I thought he looked very handsome, but I think it was just a really big change for him and he did not appreciate that. So yeah, I tried showing my mom to get her opinion on it, so like I knew if I needed to fix anything, but he did not even want to show her. And he was hiding under his covers in his room. I felt so bad. But I snapped a picture of him and was able to send it to her. And so I took it while he was talking to me. And you guys, this is the picture that I took. Doesn't he look so sad? I felt so bad. But finally he let my mom see it and she was like, you look so handsome, it looks good and stuff, because it really does look good. Like, it does look good, right? So then he started feeling a little bit better and he was much happier later on the night, and he did seem to like his hair. He did want to go to school, so I took that as a good thing and stuff. And now he is happy with his hair. Like I said, I think it was just that initial shock of getting it cut that, yeah, it was a big shock for him, but he does like it now. He's good with it now. I know he wants it to be a little bit longer, but it's seriously gonna be there in probably like a couple weeks because his hair grows really fast and stuff. So yeah, but he is happy with it now. Just to clarify, he's good. It was just, I think it was just a little bit of a shock, but yeah. So they had pictures today. He has his new haircut and hopefully they turn out good, but I am thinking that I'm gonna have to do picture retakes with Peyton because of that darn eye. So yeah, we'll see how those turn out. But yeah, it has been a crazy week, but luckily this one is starting out better. I'm trying to catch up on everything that I've just kind of been neglecting. Like yesterday, all day yesterday, I was trying to catch up on sleep from Peyton's cheerleading competition. I did some editing in the morning and then had some lunch. And then after lunch, I slept until it was time for the kids to come home on the bus because that's how exhausted I was. And Peyton actually fell asleep as soon as she came home as well. So she was super tired too. But yeah, it has been a busy week, but it is now finally slowing down. Cheerleading practice the cheerleading competition was the last like big thing that we have going on. Now that is over with. However, I think they're doing like a cheer banquet sometime in November. So that'll be fun for them and for her to do and say, you know, see you later to everybody until next season. So now all we have to focus on is Girl Scouts, which is exciting because I haven't really been able to put any time into that. Like, I haven't even gotten her like registered on her little site, or I don't even know. Like, I've barely even gone through the paperwork because I've just been so stressed out and busy and stuff. But now I can finally set aside some time to get that going, and she is super excited for that. Brody has kind of talked about maybe doing some basketball, so I need to see when that is and see if maybe he even wants to do that. All right, it's really hard to talk and do my eyebrows at the same time, so I'll do those. I'll do those in a minute. So yeah, that's been my week. Very hectic. And then also, in case you don't follow me on Instagram, but you really should because I post on there all the time, a neighbor nearby thought that maybe they saw my cat on their cameras that sit on their porch. And I looked at the footage as well, and it is the closest cat that somebody sent me that has actually looked like him. Like, I really thought it could be him. So she was going to keep me informed because she gets alerted, you know, anytime something comes onto the camera. So she was gonna keep me informed. There was a couple times where there was a cat nearby, but she wasn't able to like see. So we would like go and look because she didn't want to go out and scare it away. So we would go look. The one time, I don't think it was him. I think it was a black cat. And then the other time, it had been a half of an hour in between the time that it went off and she was able to check her phone. So he wasn't on the porch anymore or anything, but we went and kind of searched for him and called for him, but no luck. And I haven't heard anything from her since, so I don't think he's been visiting, but her neighbor feeds some of the strays. She always has food out there, so hopefully that will draw him in. So yeah, he is still unfortunately missing, which is really hard because like when I go a while without hearing from somebody that they think they've seen him, I kind of just tell myself like he's not coming back. Like hopefully somebody, I mean, as much as I would hate this, but hopefully somebody has him and is just gonna keep them for themselves, and he's not just out there wandering, you know, the streets. But I'm just hoping somebody has him. But yeah, when I don't hear anything for a while, I just kind of tell myself that, you know, he's not coming back. But when somebody messages me, it gives me that little glimmer of hope, you know, and that's super hard. And then I keep having dreams too that we find him and they feel so freaking real. And then I wake up and of course it's not, and really difficult too. But yeah, I'm just hoping somebody has him and is loving him and he's just not out on the streets. He was actually a stray in Hawaii. When we adopted him from the Humane Society, he was listed as a stray. So I don't really know if he had a family ever before us or anything like that. But yeah, I'm a little worried for this winter because it gets cold here and snows a lot. And obviously in Hawaii, he wouldn't have had to deal with any of that. So we'll see, but yeah. It's been a huge bummer. So I'm gonna finish my eyebrows real quick and then I will be back. Okay, so now I'm just gonna set my face. And then, so today all I used was my Jaclyn Hill palette, and then I used the Casey Holmes and Physicians Formula palette. And then mascara was my Benefit Roller Lash. The eyebrows were my Brow Ultra Slim by Maybelline. And mascara was the Voluminous, I can't ever say that, whatever, is this Superstar one from L'Oreal. Concealer was Maybelline Fit Me. And so was the, what's that called? Foundation. Whatever. So yeah, that is it. All right guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me as I chit-chatted with you and just kind of did this super casual makeup look. I know I didn't like really show any of the products too much, but it wasn't like a makeup tutorial. It was just kind of like, you know, a chit chat, get ready with me kind of thing. So yeah, thank you for hanging out with me this morning. I hope you guys have an amazing day or night, whatever time it is for you. Hopefully you will give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe. I would love to have you join us. I put videos out all the time. I do all sorts of different kinds of videos, so I would love for you to join us. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video. Bye.